Anyway, hi everybody. Welcome to Bill Has Opinions. We're back.
Yeah, here we are.
And motherfucker.
It's been a minute.
That's about all I can say. It's been a minute. It's been a crazy minute.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of shit going on. I was just saying to Bill, like moments before, like while that was playing, that we have no script, no notes, no nothing. We're just winging it.
And apparently they changed something in the app too.
They did, but I'll figure that shit out later. That's not anything to do with today. But and also we want to make a quick announcement. We are still in very much a hurricane situation zone. A recovery zone, I guess you would say.
Okay, yeah.
The internet could go out at any moment.
Right. Yeah, her internet was off
all day.
On and off all day. She finally talked to me at, what was it like? It was after 4:30. You were like, okay, well, as of right now, the internet's off. If you want to come hang out, we can do that. We're going to go get a beer. And I was like, yeah, I'll come out for a beer anyway, because I just need to get the hell out of the house.
Right. But then when you arrived at the brewery where we were, we had just learned that the internet came back on.
Right.
But I will tell you, earlier today, it went out. I was halfway through a meeting at about 10:45.
Yeah.
I was halfway through a Zoom meeting, and all of a sudden everything just took a fucking shit.
Yeah.
And
if that happened to me, I'd be happy for it. But you have actual, you have meetings where you're not like, I have to be here. You know?
Yeah, no, it was with my business partner who I like.
Yeah.
And we were talking about important things. Also, I've been gone for 3 weeks.
Right.
So I was so happy to feel like I was back to normal.
Right.
Not like
do my thing.
Yeah, not working at my sister's dining room table, which was a fine and welcoming place to work, but it wasn't my desk.
It's not your comfort zone.
Correct.
I get you. Yeah. Same. I mean, I basically have had internet since the whole thing went down. Like I said, we have two internets. We have satellite and DSL, and DSL is the one I use for work because it keeps a steady signal. I got slow DSL, but it's slow but steady. Right. It doesn't drop my VPN every 10 minutes. Whereas the satellite's great for watching Netflix on.
Right.
But it will drop a VPN connection because it has to realign every so often. And that doesn't really fuck with buffered video, but it does fuck with a VPN connection, which needs like a solid, constant, I don't know, like it's constantly sending a signal back and forth. And so if it loses that signal for a second, it's like, all right, I'm off.
Just nope, never mind.
And then you got to log back in, and it's this whole thing. And then if it does it when I'm in the middle of a work transaction, sometimes then it can lock up my transaction. I have to talk to IT and get them to unlock the transaction. It becomes a whole ordeal for me, and I just don't like it.
Oh, shit.
So, yeah. I've had 3 or 4 people ask me since this all went down. They're like, hey, you got Starlink? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, how good is that? And I'm like, what do you need it for? Do you need it to watch TV or do you need it to work? And they say, I need it to work. I'm like, use a VPN. And they go, yeah. And I go,
yeah, if you use a VPN.
So much.
No, I've actually been offered a Starlink. Hi, Jill. We love you. We miss you. Oh my God, it's been. Actually, I saw Jill a couple weeks ago.
I'm sure you did.
She came to visit. We'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, my business partner has an extra Starlink, which is crazy. But she offered it to me, especially this morning when we were in the middle of a meeting, and I had to call her and say my internet took a shit.
Right.
And yay! Everybody's saying hi to everybody. Hooray! Yeah, and she offered it to me, and it had our internet not come back on right now.
Yeah,
I would have gone at like 6 o'clock in the morning and picked that up tomorrow.
Right. Oh, so you could work.
So I could work. I don't use a VPN. It would be fine.
Yeah.
But no, I'd rather have my own fucking internet. I just want.
Yeah.
I want one thing to feel normal.
Yeah.
That's all I want.
No.
So real quick, let's get. This is all fucked up. We have no notes, but I'm gonna play some segment. I'm gonna play our themes anyway.
Yeah.
Because we want to catch you up, and I guess that's what we would call If you've been living under a rock,
If you ever heard,
if you haven't heard, on September 27th, which is a day I will remember for the rest of my life.
a day that will live in infamy.
Yeah. Hurricane Helene this was the end of it. The day before, it had come up through Florida and Georgia.
Yeah.
And then parked itself over Western North
Yeah,
Carolina.
just hung out for a bit.
Which caused what they're now calling a geological event, where we had massive landslides and massive flooding.
I see, yes. And then some rivers shifted their trajectories.
Yes.
Which rivers are wont to do and used to do an awful lot before mankind decided we didn't want them doing it anymore.
Before, dams and spillways and geoengineering. But it did it anyway.
Yeah. So a great many of them have scooted around a little bit.
And the thing is, we all knew in Asheville, in Western North Carolina, we all knew a big storm was coming. And we've all been through them before.
In theory, we know. Yeah, it's all academic.
Yeah, exactly. We're like, oh, we might get some flooding in places that are prone to flood.
Sure. Like we knew, like
we'll
Biltmore Village surprised no one.
No one.
Like that, because that happens in a heavy rain.
Mm-hmm. Our power will go out. We knew that.
Yeah.
Our internet might go out. We knew that.
Yeah.
What we did not know, and to be fair, a lot of us didn't even really understand the scope of it for a couple of days.
Well, there was no way to find out.
Because there was no way to find out, right?
Yeah.
We had no communication, no internet. What we did not know was that the storm caused historic flooding, historic destruction.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to beat a dead horse because it's been a month, right? Like,
yeah,
because we've lived it. So I don't want to like stir up the trauma.
Yeah.
But it was obviously a big fucking deal. Is kind of what the end result of that is.
Yeah.
And now we're all living in the aftermath of it.
Yeah.
It's
kooky. So this is the first time. Is it? Yeah, this is the first time I've come. I mean, I drove through Asheville. I told you I went to Silva last weekend, but I just took the highway, so I didn't come into Asheville really.
Right.
I just turned.
Yeah.
Today, when I was meeting you guys over at the brewery down there, which is down in the sort of by the river,
very near where a lot of the
so I got off on Amboy Road and drove down past the park. Man, the velodrome fucking wrecked. There's a camper stuck on the end of the little walkway to the velodrome.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was all kinds of destruction and crap. I mean, and there were stuff up in the treetops.
Yeah.
There's life jackets and shit dangling from the treetops.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kayaks and whatnot.
It's crazy.
It's bonkers, man, to look at it. I haven't really even looked at all the destruction. So Saluda, our downtown is mostly intact, and that's because we don't have a river or a stream in our town. Our closest river is like 2 miles out.
The Green River?
Yeah, from downtown, right?
And it had enough of its own problems.
It had serious problems, and they affect Saluda on a... Well, so there were residents of Saluda proper that live in the Green River Cove, and those people were, their houses are gone. All of our tubing businesses are gone.
Mm-hmm.
The river has shifted around. They don't know what the hell's going on for next year. Also, our power substation happened to be on the bank of the Green River.
Right.
And they found out first off, I'm gonna give it up for linemen. Those people work fucking hard. Like, oh my God, yes. Linemen. They come from all over.
Yeah.
These guys. I mean. And I know that it's a good paying job, but even I'm the kind of person where even if you pay me enough, I don't want to work 16-hour shifts, in a state,
physical labor,
10 states away,
in a state of emergency.
Yeah, out in the rain, out in the cold, whatever.
No water in many cases, which is another issue that we can talk about. No water in many cases. It's literally a disaster. Like, when you see on the news, when you're not in it, right? You see on the news, this city is a disaster zone. It's a state of emergency, right? Like, you have empathy for those people. You're like, oh, that's very bad.
Right.
I'm sorry that happened. But this time we're in it.
Yeah.
We're literally in it. And
but to say it's not even just happening to those people because
Right,
there are people,
because the linemen
and the
volunteers.
FEMA people and all come out from everywhere.
Mhm.
But linemen, I tell you what, so those people hustle.
Yes.
Like power poles, aside from my neighborhood, but because they'd just been putting up new power poles the week before this happened. Like we had brand new power poles all down my, and also I live kind of in the shadow of a mountain. And apparently that mountain sort of shielded us from a certain amount of wind. We had some water come down the mountain and it, washed out people's driveways.
And you had a little flooding in your creek.
Yeah. But my creek is so far down the hill from my house. I don't care.
Affect your house.
Yes. Oh yeah. Down the hill. There's a house at the bottom of the hill from me. My neighbor who lived down there, she died last year. So the house is empty, but I went down there just out of morbid curiosity to look at it. And it was devastating. Like, was because so the house is in the fork of two. It's where two creeks merge into one, and it's a cute idea, but it's because it's got this kind of witchy vibe, like I have this house, and it's like got a creek on this side and a creek on this side, and you have to walk across a little bridge to get into the house. Yeah, that's all cute and good, but practically it's stupid as hell. Like because the creek's going to rise, the house is going to flood. Also, even on a nice summer, that house had to be so full of mildew and mold. It's ridiculous. Anyways.
Hi, Bill Wheaton.
Hi, Bill Wheaton.
Everybody is watching Weird Disaster Television right now. People are like, what are Bill and Laura
what they gotta say?
about?
Yeah. Anyways.
Which I appreciate. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, but so the linemen got all our, like they were working overnight for 3 or 4 nights. Anyway, they thought they were going to get the power back on like 3 days in Saluda, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were like, okay, we did everything we need to do. And then they got to throw the switch and nothing. And then that's when they realized they drove out to where the substation was. And the substation was not anymore. It did not exist.
Right.
It had washed away because it was on the riverbank of the Green River.
Right.
And it was just gone. And so I think they had to reroute. They didn't rebuild the substation yet. They rerouted our power so the grid comes in from a different side now than it used to.
Well, and we're here in Asheville. We are steps from ground zero. So Swannanoa, the area of Swannanoa, was probably the biggest mass destruction in this situation. And yes, exactly. Disaster TV. I'm glad you're watching though. But so it was bad. And we live in a place like our street was our literal tiny street. Come to our street all the time. It's not big. We were spared. There was one tree across the street that fell between 2 apartment buildings.
Right.
And we're like, oh, but if you go up Murdoch, which is the one street on one side of us, it was trees down, power lines down everywhere. And that of course is what took out our power.
Right.
And if you went one street up, which is Kimberly, which is like the fancy rich people street.
Yeah, sure.
Huge old trees.
Oh God, yeah. Those trees have been there forever.
On
so that's
houses.
on their $2 million houses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God.
And it was heartbreaking, man. It was heartbreaking.
Well, no, because you can't. You can plant a new tree in that yard, but you're not going to have a tree that's that big.
No.
Well, they were probably like some of them were hemlocks and cedars and
old oaks and
huge.
There was the last living linden tree in our area.
Oh yeah,
gone.
Oh gosh,
it fell. And so, like, we understood, like, even in the first day, we understood that it was. We knew there was a problem.
Yeah.
But we didn't, because we were cut off, no internet. That's not even no internet. Our cell service went out. We had no cell service.
I'm gonna start
open
with
that
this one.
Absolutely.
I don't think I'm gonna like this one.
No, I agree. I was actually about to tell you that.
No, I know. I've had this brewery before. I don't love it, but
we went there recently. That's why we have it. Also, you can see our fancy cups because I'm gonna get to the water in a second.
Chocolate brown.
Well, they're technically gold.
Okay, I couldn't tell.
They're technically gold. We actually bought the Christmas pack. But just pour yourself as much as you want, and I'll pour myself some.
I'm just gonna have a little because I don't think I'm gonna love this one.
But no, I didn't think you would. But we actually, before the hurricane, everything right now is pre-storm and post-storm, like in our timeline, right?
I was telling her it's like the Battle of Yavin.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like we're gonna reset ourselves from.
But we were at this brewery or this distillery and brewery. And they do all these barrel aged, because they're a distillery, they do a lot of barrel aged beers because they're also a brewery. And I was curious and I really wanted to try it. But
I haven't had the pumpkin one, but I've had several of their other beers, and I'm not a fan of bourbon barrel beer.
I think
I don't like those two flavors. This is actually the best of theirs I've had, I'll say, because maybe it's because this type of beer, it works. It works. Yeah. So a lot of beers, though, if I'm drinking a beer, I don't want to taste bourbon as an aftertaste.
Yeah, but with the pumpkin, because you get that little pumpkin spice situation. So
no, it works. It works here. It's not as awful as I thought it was going to be going into it, because, like I said, I've had like their stout and one of their other ones. I don't know, and I've been like, yeah.
Well, feel free to have as much as you want. Some more, because
I still have. It's not awful.
Yeah.
I was going safe because, like I said, I don't think
it's low gravity. We totally enjoy cold, it says. Oh, no, yeah, don't drink a lot. Have as much as you want, but not all of it.
Don't go crazy.
It's 10% alcohol. It'll be fine. Yeah. Oh, well, you can stay here as long as you have to. And we got plenty of bottled water. Anyway, the water.
Oh, gosh, you want to get to that?
No, I am not the best resource for this. I am not a hydrogeologist. And also, I'm pissed off at a lot of the people in town who think they're like, they're armchair hydrogeologists, right?
Everybody after a thing happens, everybody suddenly knows way more about a thing than you think they ought to know.
Then the actual engineers and the actual employees, absolutely.
Listen, I read some stuff on the internet, and here's the thing.
Exactly.
All you got to do to have clean water is mix hydrogen and oxygen together in the right amount. Now, I tried it, but I wound up with hydrogen peroxide. You can't drink
exactly. But so the biggest issue even now, like Matt and I left town for 3 weeks. We were staying with my sister in Michigan for 3 weeks, which was so like, I'm so grateful to them, my sister and brother-in-law, for taking us in as refugees.
Yeah.
Because it helped us kind of get our bearings and feel safe and have fresh, clean water, running water.
Yeah.
And for like the first 2 weeks we were gone. So we stayed here for a week and we had no running water and no power.
Right.
And no internet, no cell service. Spotty cell service by the end. But none of that.
Yeah, so we decided cell towers, that was a whole other thing.
Yeah, that seems insane to me, but whatever.
Yeah.
So we left. We drove, we took 3 days to drive 5 hours at a time, because you can't get out of Western North Carolina either. All the main roads getting out, I-40 and I-26 are both closed.
Right. So how did you get out?
We went to Atlanta. We took 26 south.
And you went over
to
and then
Atlanta. Yep. Okay. So normally the trip doesn't take 15 hours.
Sure, yeah.
But we drove 5 hours a day.
It's not a direct route, yeah.
Right.
I get you. Okay.
We drove 5 hours a day. We stayed in Atlanta the first night. We stayed in Louisville, Kentucky the second night, and then we drove on to Kalamazoo.
Yeah. So for those following at home, all of our borders with Tennessee are closed. Mm-hmm. There was a huge washout on I-40 just across the state line.
The road has came off.
Yeah, the road's that road. Honestly, that road's a problem anyway. I swear, that road's closed more than it's open. I swear, since I've been living here, it's been closed 4 or 5 times.
It's a gorge that goes through like windy mountain roads. Right. It's like they built it into a mountain.
Yeah, and so there's rock slides periodically, and it'll get closed for 3 or 4 months at a time. And especially in the wintertime, it's closed a lot in the winter, and then it's open again. But 26 usually is fine, but then that one also goes through a big gorge and across the top of a range, and I guess I don't even know what happened there.
There's a bridge there. We do know. We actually learned a couple of different ways, but there was a bridge out and some landslides, rock slides. There. So it wasn't great. And so we drove south. This time when we came back, 3 days ago, we actually drove through the mountains into the town of Irwin.
You can take a back route from you can get off of 26 and go the back 19 and then get back on.
Yeah, which is what we did. Okay. You can also go through the Smoky Mountain National Park.
Okay.
Which we didn't do because it was late in the day and tourists.
Oh, and that's all right.
It's all swoopy.
No, I've been through that route before.
It's beautiful.
No, it's great. I've been to Gatlinburg that way before, and it's not a quick route anywhere. It's kind of like taking the parkway to somewhere, like, like the Parkway, you can go to Boone from here on the Parkway.
But it'll take you hours.
It'll take you, you can go to Boone in 2 hours, or you can go to Boone in 6 hours. You pick. You want to take the Parkway and go in 6 hours? Because that's what it's going to take. You can't do it today because the Parkway's closed. Indefinitely.
But anyway, while we were here, no power, no water, no internet, spotty cell by the time we left.
Yeah.
Our water system, not like a lot of people think that this was like, oh my God, how could this happen? It happened because this is a once in a generation event.
Well,
and the water system wasn't made like
once in a generation event up to this point. I do want to make the point that these kinds of things will become more frequent because of forces at play that certain parties don't believe in. But
Correct.
But I feel like 5 more times in the next 2 decades, and they're going to start to go, "Hey, what the hell's going on?
Why is this happening?
Why does this keep happening?" I actually had an argument with a coworker.
Oh God!
After it happened.
Oh God!
Who's apparently a climate denialist, is what I was trying to say. Anyway, yeah, he lives out in California, and he was asking me about it, and I was like, well,
who could live in California and be a climate denialist?
I don't know. I tried to say something. I tried to compare it to the fires. I was like, he's like, how often? Well, he said, because I was out for 2 days,
right.
And then when I got back, he was like, how often does this happen?
Never.
And I said, it doesn't. I live in the mountains. I said, although it's happening more frequently now, because there was a thing in 2004.
There was a thing in 2004. But before that, it was 1916.
Well, then there was a big flood in Waynesville a couple years back. Remember?
Sure, yeah.
And that was hurricane related also.
And there was also one in Marshall, Hurricane Fred, because that washed out the culvert on our road.
Right, yeah.
In Marshall.
Yeah, so if they come up the Gulf and then they park here for a minute, we can have too much rain, and because of the way mountain valleys work,
right?
All towns in the mountains are in a valley,
right?
And they basically have 1 or 2 routes getting in or out,
right?
And ergo, and there's a river there, right? And so problems will ensue. And I was trying to explain all this to him, and I said, it didn't used to happen this often, but it's happening more frequently. And he was like, well, hopefully it'll stop happening. And I was like, well, it probably won't.
Right.
And then I was like, it's like the fires in California. They used to have them every so often, and now they have them more often. And he was like, well, that's because of bad land management. And I was like, okay, then. Well, we're just gonna move on. We're just gonna table that then. We shan't discuss it because obviously this is not gonna be a productive conversation.
Right. So, exactly. And yes, you're absolutely right. With climate change, this is going to be a more frequent situation.
Because we're getting more Cat 4 and 5 hurricanes than we used to get. Like, used to be, that was a big deal. Like, we didn't get them. Like, most of the time when they hit, they're like a 3 is a bad one.
Right.
And that's not the case anymore, and there's more hurricanes that get named every year, and there's more that do more damage every year. So
and to be fair, by the time Helene got to us, it had been downgraded to a tropical storm, but just because of the magnitude of it.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Even as a tropical storm, and with our geography and our geology, it just was exponentially worse.
Oh, yeah. We just don't need that much rain at one time,
right,
regardless of what you're calling it.
Yeah, we can't. We're not designed to handle it. And what made it worse was there was a storm that had come through 2 days earlier.
Before that. Yeah.
That had flooded part of the mountains.
Well, everything was already soaking wet.
Yeah.
So there's nowhere. Yeah, it wasn't going to
the water had nowhere to go except forcefully into people.
Yes.
That's the only place it could go.
Yeah.
And we're a comedy podcast. We're making light, but the truth is this was the deadliest hurricane since Katrina.
Yeah.
Except maybe not enough people believe in mermaids in Marshall. Bill, I have to tell you the saddest story I heard. I do have to mention this because it was so sad and so sweet. A 6-year-old girl in town, her mother helped her onto the roof of her home because
I heard this. Yeah.
Yeah, because you opened this one now.
Well,
Uh,
you can still drink some
I
of that
will.
one.
Well,
Anywhere
yeah.
to go.
First, I don't have anywhere to go. I'm gonna have some of this though, because we have more. I don't think we showed you. I'm gonna tell you the sad story in a minute. But we
Yeah.
got pumpkin, and did we even actually show you?
We just talked about it.
Kentucky
Bourbon Barrel.
But anyway, so the 6-year-old girl, and whether this may or may not be anecdotal, I really have no idea.
This isn't the girl that the dog carried out of the water.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. But yeah, I told. Yeah, exactly. I told Bill we were in Louisville while we were on our way. He's like, "Why were you in Louisville?" And then so the mermaid thing, which Marshall and Bill Wheaton went to us to the Marshall Mermaid Parade a few years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, it was super fun.
I didn't really. Is that what it's based on?
No, this store. Well, maybe. I mean, maybe this kid knew it from this. But anyway, this 6-year-old girl, her mother helped her onto the roof of the house to save her, and then was swept away and killed.
Yeah.
And her father told her, Mama's a real mermaid now. And like, I swear, like, I never want to cry on this podcast, but because we're a comedy podcast.
Yeah.
But my God, like, how do you explain this to a 6-year-old? Like, your mother saved your life and got swept away by these massive, massive floods.
Yeah.
Like, and the actual quote was, "She's a real mermaid now." That's so sad and so sweet and so horrifyingly heartbreaking, right?
Yeah, no. There was there was a thing that was going around town, I think like 2 or 3 days after the hurricane. Edgar Allan Poe believed that the greatest tragedy was the death of a beautiful woman, and there was a young girl, in town who disappeared.
Who worked for she worked for Asheville Brewing. Yeah, well, Asheville Brewing's t-shirt company.
Right. And she was one of the first reported, like, where they knew for sure that she was, gone. And I'm always sad, not just because she's pretty, but anybody young who's got like a
whole life ahead.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the same reason I was sad about Amy Winehouse or Heath Ledger,
right?
Which both hit me more than they should have, but it was just because I felt like, oh, there's all this potential. They could have done things, and younger people than them too,
right?
But yeah, there's a tragedy in the death of young people. Well, I guess in general,
the woman that died who worked at Asheville T-shirt company, Asheville Brewing T-shirt company, because they're a brewing company that makes pizza and T-shirts.
In movies,
yeah,
and they got their finger in everything,
and they have a live concert venue, but. Yeah, part of what made that real to me is she was the neighbor of some friends who barely escaped.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about. I guess that's the thing is because she's 1 degree removed from all of us. Like if you knew her personally, that's one thing. But all of us knew somebody who knew her.
Yeah, I mean, it's John Evans, right? Yeah, for sure. Like we know somebody who knows somebody, exactly, and that's what. And that was one of the first names.
Yes, exactly.
Of this entire thing that was released.
Right.
And her neighbor also died, who they lived
over on Riverside Drive, I want to say, right? Is that
they were right off of the River Arts District that got fully wiped, demolished.
Yeah,
the River Arts District, which used to be, that's a part of our town that was years ago. Do you remember this when what is it, Fodor's, the travel guide? Like somebody from Fodor's was on the Today Show or something.
Okay.
And was talking about Asheville and said there's the River Arts District that's really sketchy. And it was like, it's really sketchy. And then Asheville was like, fuck that, we're making a meme out of it, right? Like a literal meme. And that's what I had a t-shirt that was "Keep Asheville Sketchy," which was from that.
Okay.
But since then, 10 years later, the River Arts District
it blew up.
There were breweries down there. There were antique shops down there. There were restaurants,
all kinds of theaters and things. Yeah,
absolutely. And they're gone.
Yeah,
they're for all intents and purposes gone.
Right. No, I was reading an article this morning about Zillicoa, actually, and what a fucking wreck that place is. I mean, shit. Even and although I feel bad because they're responsible for probably polluting the river further downstream, but not Zillicoa. Sorry,
Right,
I'm
right,
talking
right.
about the places 2 doors up from Zillicoa, the PVC pipe
Oh yeah,
factory.
yeah, the PVC pipe factory for sure.
But on the other hand, they were an employer here in town, and
Right.
and PVC pipes are probably a necessary evil.
I have to say, you can have the rest of this if you want.
Okay.
I actually I like this more than I like the bourbon barrel age because we are ostensibly a drinking podcast, so we're still going to talk about that. The bourbon barrel age is really good. I like that, but the pumpkin, it's a classic.
Pumpkin is one of the top 3 like best.
It's just really good.
This is one. It's in my top 3 of best balanced pumpkin beers.
Mhm.
The number 1 is the Nitro Pumpkin.
Yeah.
That's number 1 because that evens it out even more, like that smoothness from the Nitro.
Yeah, and I've told you before, and I don't think you can get it anymore. But my favorite pumpkin beer of all time is 21st Amendment. He said, where it was a 4-pack that was 2 Belgian pumpkins and 2 pumpkin porters.
Yeah.
And specifically
Yeah.
the pumpkin porter version. Oh my God, I still dream of it. I don't think you can get it anymore.
Can you not? Okay.
No, but pumpkin,
I
like,
had it once. It's on my list.
yeah.
But
Anyway,
yeah.
we'll sometimes talk about pumpkin beers and sometimes talk about the destruction and loss of life in our county, or both of our counties, all of our counties, our entire area. So that's what we're doing here. Mostly this is therapy.
I guess
right?
so.
We're both talking about it because like the truth is, like you said earlier, like there's a survivor's guilt out of this, right? Like you fared well.
Nothing bad happened to me personally, or I mean, like I lost no property, none of my family are hurt or killed, and yeah, I mean I was inconvenienced at best.
Right.
And what I say to people when they ask how are you doing, I'm like, I'm okay, but the vibes are off.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing. I mean, well, like my family were suffering economically from it, not because we didn't lose real property, but I mean, we have no business in this area right now, right? Like so October is generally speaking.
Yeah. This happened at the worst time. Not that hurricane season is a good time.
No, but so October, generally speaking, is when people in the mountains make their fucking money. We're a tourist-based economy here, and the tourism happens when the leaves turn.
Right. And to be like, there's also that moment here for us locals. October is beautiful right now.
Oh yeah.
Like our leaves are gorgeous.
Oh God, it's the prettiest it's been in 3 or 4 years.
Absolutely, it's so beautiful.
And
but
you kind of, it's
cognitive dissonance,
yeah,
right? Like you're like, look how beautiful it is, but people are dead. Like it's so hard,
right? And everybody's broke and all this shit.
Exactly.
Going on. It's awful. All these artists.
Yeah, the artists,
man.
Our town is an artist community.
Like, and all the art spaces were down in the aforementioned River Arts District, which is destroyed.
The Arts District.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, the rest of our economy is very much service industry, hospitality, and tourism.
So without that, when the governor says don't come to Western North Carolina right now, you're like, okay, and I know he means well, and there's places, don't go to these, like Marshall probably doesn't need you poking around,
Yeah, it's a mess.
Asheville until this week, we didn't really need you to poking around.
Downtown, but not everything's open.
Yeah, I got you. It's hit and miss.
Yeah.
But there are places that are open.
And we still don't have water.
Right.
We don't have potable water.
But and obviously, Swannanoa, Chimney Rock, those places are destroyed. They're gone for God knows how long.
Right.
But that being said, there are places in Western North Carolina that are open and do need your fucking business if they're going to be open next year.
Right.
That's the big picture that I'm kind of waiting to see is like, how's this all going to shake out? Like, oh my God, like first off, the hospitality industry runs on thin margins, and most people I don't think understand how thin the margins are, right? But you get into if you open a restaurant, like you're told it's going to be 2 or 3 years before you turn a profit.
Mhm.
Now, 2 or 3 years, like some of these places, so some places are open that just were starting to turn a profit when all this shit happened.
Right.
And now their place is destroyed, or they've had to go the busiest month of the fucking year without any business.
Right.
You know, like what does that mean? How does that play out? Like it'll be interesting to see, and I don't like how the shakeup is. Like 3 years from now, which of the restaurants in town that you've loved and enjoyed will still be here, and which ones won't, and
Absolutely.
and breweries and whatever, you know, like
Absolutely.
some will survive and some won't, you know.
And frankly, when we didn't think we'd have internet today,
Yeah,
and we told you we're going to go to, the reason we went to the brewery was
Right.
not that we just wanted to be out of our house.
no,
I mean,
it's
we
to
just-
support a local business,
Yeah,
which is
and
how I felt about it. Like, which is why I was like, yeah, no, I'm gonna come do that,
Yeah.
right? Because I'm like,
And this is a specific business that has multiple locations in our area, one of which was completely wiped out,
Sure.
like wiped off the map.
Yeah.
Wiped out.
absolutely.
So they're not, that location isn't doing anything.
Right.
So,
it's closed.
It's closed.
That's the one. That was the one down in the
Rad
yeah.
River Arts District.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
which was my favorite place to go. What
Is that
I
the one
mean-
with all the containers? and
Yes,
stuff?
the
Yeah,
container.
I've been there like
Yeah.
once.
right
but
now
yeah.
there's one container.
Is there one container
and
left?
it's not
The rest of those are in Tennessee.
yeah, and it's
Okay.
not a whole container.
Oh,
Like
gosh, oh, man.
it's a messed up container.
That
and
sucks, yeah.
absolutely.
But you know,
yeah.
you got to give it to them for at least they've got several locations and they're still in operation. Like think about it, like French Broad or Zillicoa, which are places that like
Yeah.
will they survive? Like Zillicoa was a good brewery.
I love Zilla. That was another place we frequented often because it's close.
It's close,
Close to our
but
house.
they make really good. They
And
have
they make really
good beer.
Yeah.
Like some good European styles.
All right.
Just
Bill Wheaton, I've got some clarifying questions for
Okay.
you because your sentence makes little sense to me.
mm,
So let's so is Chimney Rock where you were suggesting that War should go to do a walkabout in bother of you? I do not know what this means, but Chimney Rock was a really cool little town
it really was.
right on the
Oh my
river.
God. I stopped there many a time. You know, when I lived in Asheville, Woodfin,
Mhm.
technically, and I used to go back and forth. My son he still lives in Charlotte right now. When I used to go back and forth between Charlotte and Asheville, sometimes I would take the route that took me through
Mhm.
Chimney Rock, and I
It
would
looks
stop.
away.
And
Yeah.
it's a pleasant drive. It's all curvy and fun, especially when you own a convertible, which I do.
Right, as it turns out.
But I would like to stop when I got to Chimney Rock. I would stop there at their little park, and I would either walk around the lake or I'd walk. They had this thing called the Flowering Bridge, which was
Yeah. Oh,
which they had
Yeah.
which they had a new bridge, which was you drive the car across that, and they had the old bridge, which was closed to
And they
car
made a
traffic.
garden.
They made a garden
Basically,
on a bridge.
It was a beautiful
And it was
spot.
oh man, it was so nice, and that's fucking just it's gone. Like I just have to remember, like it exists in memories now.
Chimney Rock is gone. I mean, the mountain it was named after is not gone. But like we would go
But
to
the whole town there,
Yeah.
the township there, is destroyed
we
because there was a
would
bunch
go
of
to-
little these shops all backed up right, like they were hanging over the river.
Mhm.
Some of them even still used old timey river coolers, like they would put the Coca-Colas in a like
Yeah.
milk crate and hang them down below the deck,
Yeah.
to like in the creek to keep them cool in the summer. You know, so
That makes more sense. In Chimney Rock, where you were suggesting we should go to do a walkabout north of you. No, Matt's right. It was Matt's patch, and we north, yes. But yeah, Chimney Rock is technically southwest of us,
yeah,
southeast of us.
southeast of you.
Southeast
Yeah,
of
yeah.
us.
It's
It's
like,
also a beautiful town, and you should go to it. Except not right
not now. It's like due east of me, basically. And
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
you know, I just went through there like, God, I want to say like a month ago. I drove
Oh,
down.
yeah.
I was out for like a Saturday drive, and I drove through there, and I'm glad I did because I got to see it for the last fucking time. I guess, you
Absolutely.
know.
Yeah, we were there not that long ago. Well, we went for Matt's 50th birthday, which was last
Yeah.
April. And we went and hiked around actual Chimney Rock, which
Yeah.
again, that's a mountain. It's mostly fine.
Yeah.
And then we went to Chimney Rock Brewing, which is that's one of the places you're talking about where it's right on the river.
Yeah.
And like they have whole decks. Out
Yeah. They
had.
would like hang over the. Yeah.
Hey, like the deck is built over the river, and it was so calming and so beautiful.
And that's probably
like
gone.
It's gone.
Yeah.
It's gone. The road is gone. I saw a picture. There's a winery in Chimney Rock that's up on a hill.
Yeah.
Like it's up over
the burnt shirt.
Burnt Shirt. Yeah. The road, like there was no way to get to Burnt Shirt. Like the road is everything from both sides of the river.
Yeah.
The river, all the businesses on the river, the road, and all the businesses on the other side of the road.
Burnt Shirt is open.
But Burnt Shirt is open. I don't know how the fuck you get to it.
Burnt Shirt that was a tasting room.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. No,
the Burnt Shirt is actually in Henderson County.
Hendersonville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that, but they did have a tasting room in Chimney Rock. Also, what was I going to say? There was a place, I don't know if it's still there. It wasn't actually on the river or on the lake, but a little bit further down in the town of Lake Lure, which is
Lake Lure is also gone.
Lake Lure and Chimney Rock are like they're like this. Like it's like you just cross a line. It's, you know what I mean? It's like it actually was at the bridge. That was the separating line. The Flowering Bridge was the line between the two. But anyway, so there was a really nice meadery that's actually still there.
Yes.
They didn't get destroyed. However,
Fay Nectar.
Yes. In Lake Lure, but I mean, it's like
it's right. It's right after the Flowering Bridge.
Yeah, it's like,
and there's a creek on the other side of it.
Sure.
So it's a creek on one side and the river.
But they survived because of just being in a cushy location. Anyway, so some of the things in Lake Lure also destroyed. And then because everything from Chimney Rock wound up in Lake Lure.
Yeah.
And then, but there was a little place, God, we went last summer. Me and Emily we went both Fake Nectar, and we went to this place called, I want to say it's like Hawk's Nest or something like that. Is this nice little, like they had a garden, and then they had like a little restaurant in the garden that served like tapas and beer and wine. And it was, I don't know. I hope it's okay. It was pleasant, and I loved it. I got to get back over there when that place reopens.
Yeah.
I want to support all these local things, and it's just it's awful to think like what's like I said, what's Shagout going to be? What's going to still exist?
Yeah.
3 years from now.
And it's still, I mean, your town was relatively left unscathed, but I'm in Asheville and it's not.
No, it's pretty scathed.
And to the point, Matt says Jose Andres and World Central Kitchen were here, have been here the whole time, which is
actually,
they were in Gaza. Like they're still in Gaza.
Yeah.
We're obviously, this is a disaster area if World Central Kitchen is here and has been here the whole time.
Most of the stuff that we had in our walk-in from the Purple Onion went to World Central Kitchen because
it was gonna
go bad. So we threw it in a cooler, and Emily drove it up here.
I love that.
And dropped it off.
I love that.
Yeah.
Don't make me cry. Don't make me cry. Don't make me cry.
We had to get rid of it,
You did, but you also did good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was crazy, but
I mean, I love Jose Andres. I mean, we watch him on TV. He's a fucking crazy person.
Yeah.
But he's here helping. He's here helping. And especially those, like we were here, like I said, we were here for a week.
Yeah.
No water, no power, no nothing. The first couple of days, and we were just, we didn't know what the fuck was actually happening because we had no communications. We did family dinners with our neighbors.
Yeah.
So, we're very close to our neighbors on both sides.
Right.
So we all knew we had food that was going to go bad.
Yeah.
So we pooled it. The neighbors up here have a gas stove. So we went to their house and we cooked up everything.
Right.
Like day 2, I will never forget day 2. Day 2, several of us had cans of black beans.
Yeah.
and we had some a lot of cheese, more cheese than any like shredded cheese,
Yeah.
more than anybody could use. We had peppers out of our garden. I had an onion that
Yeah.
would have gone bad, right?
Right.
We had tortillas that would have gone bad. So we made these black bean tacos.
Yeah.
And honestly, they were delicious. They were good. And like we were in a dark room eating these, but like we were laughing and we were enjoying ourselves, and even in the midst of all this tragedy. And it was
You had cheese and beans dripping in your
we
face, but
did.
no one could see.
Nobody could see. But it was so moving too,
No, I
because
get you.
you know, everybody cared about each other, and it was just a
That's
microcosm.
one of the, yeah, no, I get you. That's actually the silver lining on this whole thing. Because I had told you the same thing happened in Saluda. We had
Yeah, exactly.
everybody, like uptown just became this like street party, and every day somebody was cooking food for everybody else, and we all went uptown, and I don't think we paid for food for a week.
Yeah.
We didn't bother to go to the grocery store because why bother? I mean, we went and we took what we could from the walk-in at the Purple Onion also
Sure.
back to my house because I did have a generator. So I mean, like I said, I was okay. I was taken care of.
Right.
Funny enough, actually, I just dragged a bunch of stuff back out of the freezer in my house back to the Purple Onion today. Emily called me. Well, she called me at like 11 o'clock today, and she's like, "Hey, we didn't get a delivery. Like, I need cheddar cheese slices. We had all these piles of cheddar cheese slices
In the freezer?
at
Yeah.
our house because we dragged them from the restaurant back up to the house. So I just threw them in a bag and I drove them back down to the restaurant. I was like, here you go. You know?
That's brilliant.
But no, I mean, like it was kooky. Like it was weird times, but we all made do.
Right.
I also have a gas stove, and I have a gas stove for these reasons. I realized when I moved into this house that I live in the mountains, and I'm going to at times get cut off. Ergo, a gas stove is never not working. You know, like that's a thing.
That's fair.
So I was like, there are going to be emergency situations, and I'm going to want to still cook, and that's going to work out for me. And so I purposefully had the electric stove moved out, and we had gas installed for these reasons, so I could be self-sufficient. And my whole family, of course, moved in with us for a couple of days.
Oh, yeah.
Because when the power was out, I had a generator that ran my refrigerator, ran my internet, ran one or two other things in the house, you know. But then I also have a gas stove. So between all those things, I'm basically all right. And also, we have a hot tub, which means we have water to flush the toilets with.
Right. Yeah. Well, not that you were luxuriating in that.
No. We weren't enjoying that. But we basically have a cistern full of water that we can flush toilets with. So that's nice.
Absolutely. No, I mean, that's, yeah.
But it was,
no, and that's the thing. I mean, we deliberately have, you know, an electric house of the future. And we have, but the good thing was, so here's a little bit of a thing. So we had a camp stove. We could at least boil water and do those things at the beginning and make pasta. Like, we could do that. Plus we pooled with our neighbors who have a gas stove.
Sure.
And I'm 100% happy with my electric home of the future. Like for the 50s, that's what I was thinking. The electric home of the future, because everything is electric, and I'm totally fine with it. But yeah, and a fireplace for blizzards, absolutely. But I was really grateful to have neighbors who had gas, and we could all pool together and do it. And we couldn't have done it without them that first week, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think. Well, I don't know. I had a point, and I can't remember because I drank a lot. So I lost it. Well,
you're doing the weave.
Well, yeah. To be fair, that's one of the reasons we left. We didn't have power when we left. We didn't have water when we left.
Sure.
We still didn't have internet when we left.
No, and I know you kind of said something before you left, and I felt like it was probably like this kind of.
Oh, you can't pour from an empty cup? Is
that
what I said? Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if you said that or not, but I was like, I felt like, you know, hey, if you have the means to get the fuck out, then you should get the fuck out, because there are resources that people who are worse off than you need. Yeah. So you're doing everybody a favor, honestly. Like, and I felt like you were asking because you felt like like a guilt of like, oh,
Yeah,
am I running away from the situation?
Absolutely. I mean, there is a survivor's guilt to this
Sure.
whole thing.
Yeah.
Right?
And but I was like, if you can free up resources for someone else, and you then do it, like, you know, because at the end of the day, it's serving like your suffering is not making anybody else happier.
Correct.
You know?
And we had my sister and brother-in-law, and all the thanks to them, like they offered us a place to be, and we were there for 3 weeks, and we saw Jill while we were there, which was great. Yeah, you're right. Taking care of yourself and that was what I came to. Like you said that, and some other people said things. You can't pour from an empty cup.
Sure.
I already have an anxiety disorder.
No, I know. I'm aware.
This was not helping. This was not helping it. So, yeah, if I could go to a place where I felt safe, where even though it was 15 hours away,
yeah, sure,
normally 12 hours, but I felt safe.
But the same
and
thing,
I could get
same thing happened with me. Like I said, I was basically taken care of, and I only took 2 days off of work. But I tell you what I did do was when I went back to work, like I'm on the internet all day long, basically when I'm at work. You know, I sit in front of a computer. So what I would do is I would see things. I would scroll through Facebook.
There's a drop of pumpkin. You should drink it.
Doom scrolling, some might say.
Right.
But some of it was help scrolling because people would post things. It'd be like, hey. Some people would say sometimes, hey. Well, they'd say literally, hey, is available at this place or other pet supplies or whatever. And I would think, who do I know who needs hay?
Yes.
And I would tell those people, hey, I saw this thing that says you can get hay or horse feed at these places. Yeah. So I would tell those folks, and they would go, thank you so much for telling me that. You know, and so that was basically all I did was
help scrolling. I like the term help scrolling. I don't know if that's official, but I think it should be.
Well, because I was already back at work, and I feel like I couldn't. The only help I could do is what I know how to do, and I'm on the internet all day,
right?
And I'm basically a procurement person anyway. That's what I do at work, right? So I'm kind of doing that. I'm basically just doing my job, and I'm like, oh, you need this? I know where to get that. Here's who's got it. You talk to them. Here's the post I saw, you know, and I'd forward these shits to people, and you know, so I did a lot of that. Like I'd see somebody saying we have this, and I'd go, who needs that? And I'd tell those people. That's all I could do. That's just how I knew to. Like I was trying to use my skills that I have.
I think that's great. I think that's a great.
I mean, it's not the same thing as me being out there with a chainsaw.
No, but
you know,
well, and that was to the you can't pour from an empty cup. Look, I am a 50-year-old woman who's out of shape. I've been an indoor kid my whole life. There's no world in which shoveling mud and chainsawing trees is
your task.
My task. Yeah. Like you don't want me to do it. I'm gonna be a problem. Like, you don't want me to do it.
To that end, there were people who were out there with chainsaws who needed to be, who like this was their first time using a chainsaw, and they don't understand. You know.
We have the same experience.
Well, you know, Matt told me this story because
he's laughing.
You know how when you sometimes, like when you've never used a chainsaw and you come to a tree that's bowed up and you cut it, and then it
hits you in the face.
It hits you in the face, or if you cut it the other way and it pinches your chainsaw, and now you're fighting with the chainsaw. You know, so everybody doesn't need to use the chainsaw, is what I'm trying to say.
Exactly. Or at least have a tutorial for the chainsaw.
Right. Those things are going on in places. If you want to help, they give you a tutorial first of like, here's what to do, here's what not to do, you know. But don't think because you bought a chainsaw, you know how to use a chainsaw. Everybody doesn't know how to use the chainsaw.
Right.
And I'll vouch for that because I've done it too. I'm a person who gets mine bound up. I've never had the tree smack me in the face, but I do get my chainsaw caught.
Man, it is smack him in the face.
And then have to be like, yeah, no, he told me that stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But then I get the chainsaw where the tree pinches it. And then I'm like, God damn it. And then you have to get like a jack or something and like jack the tree up so that you take the leverage off of it. Anyway.
We loaned our chainsaw out to a neighbor, which is fine. Our chainsaw is a little electric chainsaw.
I had an electric chainsaw. Someone stole it off the back of Emily's truck. Yeah, 2 days into this whole thing.
Oh shit, no way.
Yes way.
Into this You know what? At that point you have to wash your hands up and say they needed it more.
I guess. I hope they did, because here's the thing, they stole a 80-volt chainsaw with no charger.
Well, yeah, that's fair. No, Matt's really good at chainsawing. But yeah, some fucker stole it
They
without
stole
a
my
charger.
chainsaw. They also stole
Yeah, joke's on them.
they stole a gas can too, which had nothing to do with the chainsaw.
Right?
But I guess they got a gas can, which were scarce for a day or two, I suppose. Everybody
Well,
was,
that might have been what they thought. It was like, here's a chainsaw, here's a gas
and
can.
then they got home and they were like, "Oh fuck! I stole somebody's electric chainsaw.
Yeah.
God bless."
Joke's
Like,
on
I don't
you.
need this shit, motherfucking hippies.
Exactly. All right, folks. I like that
man.
we took up an hour
We
with
did. We
no
totally.
with no outline, no script,
Yeah,
no
It is
nothing.
what it is.
And we appreciate everybody,
Yeah.
all the people, all of our friends, and everybody who watched, and everyone who watches in the
So
future.
yeah, we're all okay. Hey, if you want to help Western North Carolina, here's what you can do. I want to say, I'll try and come back later and post some links.
We didn't have time to do it because we didn't know this was happening.
There's some organizations
Yes.
that are good. Also, if you have a favorite restaurant or brewery in Western North Carolina, buy a gift card or buy some merchandise or some shit.
Yes.
That'll help them.
Yes.
It puts money back in the coffers. It's what they need.
Yes.
They really there's no tourist season, like I said, this season.
Right.
So that really helps them have some fluidity. You know, keeps them afloat, if you will.
Oh, look, everybody the reviews are in. Everybody loves us.
Okay, great. Well, I
We'll take
appreciate
it.
you
Look,
guys.
We should do more.
We should have more disasters.
More disasters. And just do shows off the cuff.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's what we need to do around here. It's like have everything destroyed.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I made a pot roast, and we're
Okay.
gonna go eat it.
That
Yeah,
sounds
well,
tasty.
It was easy because you could do a crock pot and you don't have to clean shit.
Yeah, that's fair.
I put a liner in it.
Like,
we
we
don't-
don't crock pot liners.
Oh yeah, no,
No,
because
you're not doing shit anymore.
we don't have
Oh, that's fair.
water.
That's fair.
I didn't want to wash it.
Oh yeah.
So anyway,
Is it potable water or potable? What?
well, that's the question. I think both ways.
Because you like to correct people on the way to pronounce
You're
things.
correct. I corrected you like twice earlier today. No, you're correct. And I will say it both ways because Jeopardy taught me one way, and then other people saying it taught me a different way.
Okay.
Because Jeopardy specifically says potable.
Potable. That's
Because
what I thought it was.
They always have the category potent potables.
And I thought it was potable, but then everybody said a lot of people.
Yeah,
around here-
everybody's saying potable,
potable,
right
but I think
now.
it's because they only read it and they never heard it
Correct.
before. And they think, well, you put water in a pot, that's potable, then, right?
Yes. No, most of the time. No. Well, to be fair, I'm cooking because I made it in the crock pot earlier. Like I made it at 11 o'clock this morning.
There you go.
So it's fine.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
What?
I don't even know. I'm not gonna even. I don't even know.
McPoke face.
Yes,
Or McPoke face.
McPoke-
I think it's a sort of
McPoke
throwback to.
face. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my
All
God.
right.
That's a deep cut.
That's a
Thank
deep
you
cut.
so much.
Yes, we appreciate it. Oh God, there's more comments before I even turn off the. Yeah, exactly. Spell check. Correct. It doesn't matter. It's fine. It's all good. But we're gonna close out the show.
All right.
And with the Lord wills it and the creeks don't rise.
Yeah.
Literally, we'll be back next week.
Hopefully, yeah.
I don't know what we'll talk about, but we'll
Something
get
else.
there.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be something going on
Well,
in the
right.
world.
I mean,
unfortunately,
what could it be?
I don't know.
All right,
Anyway,
well, we'll be back in a week. Also, by the way, happy Halloween.
Yeah,
Usually, this
this
show.
will be the Halloween show, but we don't.
Yeah.
So much else is going on. The spookiest thing around here is that everything's destroyed.
Yeah, it really is. So,
All right.
bye, everybody.
See ya.